All right, so we're diving into this really interesting script today. It's all about, like the psychology of success and all the little habits that can make a big difference. I mean, it's packed with interesting stuff, really. And I think our goal here is to help you kind of sift through it all, right? Find those like golden nuggets, the things that really speak to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get lost in all the noise, right? There's just so much advice out there about success. But what this script, I think, really nails is that success isn't, like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's got to be personal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's not just like some feel-good philosophy or whatever. The script actually brings up some research. I think it was saying that people who actually define success on their own terms are more likely to actually achieve their goals. So there's some real power in kind of setting your own compass, right?
Oh, totally. So before we even get into like the actual habits themselves, maybe we should just pause for a second and think about this. What does success even look like to you? I mean, really.
Yeah, take a moment, Think about it. What are the things you want to achieve? The things that would make you feel, really fulfilled.
Right. And once you've got that sort of that personal definition in mind, this script,
Mm-hmm.
it suggests focusing on five key habits that, a lot of really successful people seem to have in common.
Okay, so let's hear them. What are these magic habits?
All right. So we've got morning routine,
Mhm.
lifelong learning, goal setting, discipline over motivation, and then networking/relationships.
Okay. Yeah, I mean those sound great on paper, but let's go a bit deeper, right? How do these actually play out in the real world?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's take a closer look at like how these habits can actually translate into, actual success.
Perfect. So for instance, the script talks about the power of a solid morning routine. Like Oprah Winfrey, she's big on her daily meditation.
Yeah, and it's not just about the routine itself, right?
Right.
It's about understanding why it works.
Mhm.
So like in Oprah's case, the meditation probably helps her, you know, focus, get some clarity, sets a good tone for the whole day.
Right. It's like you're getting your mind ready for success before all the crazy stuff starts to happen. And speaking of getting your mind ready, the script also gets into this whole lifelong learning thing.
Oh yeah, totally. The script brings up Elon Musk. He's known for reading a ton,
Right.
right? I mean, I don't know if 2 books a day is realistic for everyone, but the idea behind it, the continuous learning, that's key. That's what fuels growth.
Makes you think, right? Like what are the areas of knowledge that would really help you get closer to, your own version of success? What could you be reading? What could you be exploring?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about figuring out like what knowledge you're missing, the stuff that's standing between you and your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to work to close that gap.
Yeah.
It's not just about, taking in information. It's about applying it, using it in a smart way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not about just knowing a bunch of random facts, right? It's about finding the knowledge that will actually help you take action, make things happen.
Totally. And speaking of taking action, the script also spends a lot of time on setting clear goals.
Makes sense. It's kind of hard to hit a target you can't even see, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting here is the script also goes into the science of how our brains actually form habits.
Yeah.
And understanding that can be a game changer when it comes to setting and achieving goals.
Okay. I'm hooked. Let's talk brain science.
So the script it talks about how when we do something over and over again, repetition, it actually creates these pathways in the brain, neural pathways they call them, and it makes it easier to do those things over time.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. It's like if you're walking through a forest or something, right? The more you walk the same path, the more like defined it becomes.
That's a really good way to put it. So basically, yeah, we're kind of like rewiring our brains when we build new habits.
That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Yeah, what's really cool is that this whole process, it can work for any habit. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, like waking up early for that morning routine we were talking about.
Hmm.
Could be setting aside time for learning new things, or even just, consistently working towards your goals.
So it's not just about like willpower or being super motivated, right? There's actual science behind it. Like our brains are literally changing.
Exactly. And
That
that's where this whole idea of starting small comes in, right?
hurt.
That's what the script suggests. Instead of, trying to change everything all at once, just focus on these tiny little actions that you can manage.
Yeah. That's actually something I've been struggling with myself lately. I really want to start exercising more regularly, but it's just like the thought of going from zero to like, gym rat. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah, I get that. The script actually, it actually recommends starting with something as simple as a 5-minute workout. It might not sound like a lot, but remember we were just talking about those neural pathways?
Yeah.
Even 5 minutes, it's a start, right? It gets things moving.
Yeah, 5 minutes. I can definitely do 5 minutes. It's about like changing my mindset, I guess. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? A little bit is better than nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly. And once you start seeing those little wins, those little
Yeah.
positive changes, that's what creates momentum. That's what keeps you going.
Yeah, it's like that snowball effect, right? It starts small, but then it just like keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Now, consistency is obviously, super important for success. But this script, it doesn't it doesn't shy away from setbacks. It has this really interesting way of looking at failure.
Okay, I'm curious. How does the script handle that whole like failure thing?
Well, it says that failure, it's not like the opposite of success. It's more like it's a stepping stone. It's part of the process. It's about seeing those setbacks as feedback, not as like, the end of the world.
That's a really good way to look at it. So instead of letting these setbacks stop us, we should be like, learning from them, figuring out how to do babe next time.
Exactly. And the script, it talks about two really important qualities that can help with that, help us deal with those inevitable bumps in the road: grit and adaptability.
Okay, let's break those down. Grit, I think I get that one. It's about, like being tough, being able to push through the hard times, right?
Right. It's about having that inner strength, that determination to keep going even when things get, really, really tough.
And adaptability, I'm guessing that's about being flexible, being open to change, being willing to adjust your plans if you need to.
You got it. And the script uses some really inspiring examples to show how those qualities have, helped some pretty amazing people achieve success.
Oh, I love a good story. Give me some examples.
All right. Well, think about Walt Disney. Did you know that he was actually fired from a newspaper job at one point? They said he lacked creativity. Can you believe that?
Wow. No, I had no idea. That's got to be a tough one to swallow.
But did he let that stop him? No way.
Yeah.
He took that experience and he turned it into, I mean, think about it, an empire of imagination. That's grit. That's adaptability in action right there.
It's amazing how something that seems like a total disaster, it can actually become this turning point, this catalyst for something incredible. What other examples does the script mention?
Well, how about J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter? Her first book, it was rejected by 12 different publishers.
12. Wow, that's a lot of rejection. It's hard to imagine a story as popular as Harry Potter being told it's not good enough.
Right. But it just shows you that success, it doesn't always happen overnight. It's not always this straight line. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be rejections. There's going to be moments where you doubt yourself. But it's how you respond to those challenges that matters.
So the takeaway here is that everyone faces adversity, even the most successful people. It's their ability to bounce back, to learn from those setbacks. That's what sets them apart.
Exactly. And the script, it makes it clear that these qualities, these aren't things you're just born with. They're skills. They're things you can develop, you can work on over time.
That's actually really encouraging. It's like, okay, I'm going to face challenges, but I have the power to choose how I react to them. I can let them defeat me, or I can, learn from them, adapt, and keep moving forward.
And all these individual stories, they're really inspiring, but sometimes they can feel a bit, distant. So maybe we should shift gears a little bit and talk about, how we can take all these great ideas and actually make them work in our own lives.
Yeah, good idea. I'm sure a lot of people listening are probably wondering, how do I actually take all of this and make it real for me? I mean, it can feel kind of overwhelming, right? Thinking about doing all these habits all at once. So where do we even begin?
Well, the script, it is a pretty simple suggestion. It says to start by actually like writing down your definition of success. Make it real, put it on paper. What does it look like? How does it make you feel? What kind of impact does it have on your life and the people around you?
Yeah, I like that. It's like you're creating a blueprint, making it more concrete, something you can actually work towards.
Exactly. And once you've got the clear vision in your mind, the next step is to pick one habit, just one, that really fits with that vision.
Yeah.
And the script, it recommends sticking with that habit for like 30 days.
Yeah.
Really give it a chance to take hold.
Makes sense. It's not about trying to like change your whole life overnight, right? It's
Yeah.
about focusing on one thing at a time, really mastering it.
Right. And remember that whole starting small thing we were talking about?
Mhm.
Even if it's just, 5 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of reading, or even just a quick meditation in the morning, those little things, if you do them consistently, they can make a huge difference.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme emerging here.
Hmm.
It's all about those little incremental changes that add up to something big over time.
Absolutely. It's about changing the way you think about it.
Yeah.
It's not about, I got to do everything perfectly. It's more like I can make progress, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
Okay, so what about when we hit those bumps in the road, We're gonna mess up sometimes, we're gonna fall off track. What does the script say about dealing with that?
Well, it goes back to that grit and adaptability thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
The script, it basically says to look at those moments, not as, failures, but as opportunities to learn.
Hmm.
Ask yourself, like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I change my approach, going forward?
So it's about like accepting that it's not always gonna be easy,
Right.
right? It's a journey. And the path to success, it's it's not always gonna be a straight line. There's gonna be detours, there's gonna be obstacles, there's gonna be things that, you just don't expect.
Totally. And remember those stories we talked about? Walt Disney, J.K. Rowling, they're great examples of that. Those are people who faced rejection, they faced setbacks, but they kept going. They believed in what they were doing, and they were willing to learn and adapt along the way.
So to bring this all back around to our listeners, what's one small thing you can do today to get a little bit closer to your own version of success?
Think about that one habit we were talking about. What's a tiny little action you can take, like right now, to put it into practice? It doesn't have to be anything huge, just a little step in the right direction.
And remember, this is your journey. You get to decide what success means to you, and you have the power to build the habits that will help you get there. So, be patient with yourself, celebrate those little wins along the way, and don't be afraid of those challenges, and never stop learning.
It's been great diving into all this with you. And remember, success, it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's about growing, it's about learning, it's about becoming the best version of yourself.